Welcome to Reasonable Religion. Today I'll be discussing 8 reasons I believe God exists.
Cool, happy to have you. And I hope that the reasons that you have live up to your channel name, because otherwise that would be really embarrassing. For me, you guys never seem to suffer that particular affliction, so it's all dropped on top of my head when I have to point out how ridiculous the shit you say tends to be. And that's not going to happen today, right? He's got reasonable in his name. You're not allowed to lie about that shit, are you?
Reason number 1. One of the things that I've noticed for people who do not believe that God exists is that they define a God in which I don't believe.
What? That's not a reason to believe in God. That's just someone defining something that you don't believe in. What a strange way to start. It's like saying one of the reasons I like whiskey is because someone once told me that vodka exists. And that's not my tipple of choice, therefore I like whiskey. That makes no sense, dude. I like whiskey because it's the best thing ever.
So, for example, an atheist would say something like, I don't believe in God because God is evil. Well, I don't believe in an evil God either.
Oh no, it's worse than I thought. Dude, if you define God in a certain way and I say, that God sounds kind of evil, you can't just say, otherwise I wouldn't believe in him. That's just not how that works.
And if you go to my last video, you'll see exactly why I don't believe in an evil God.
Not gonna happen. Nuh-uh. You aren't gonna get me to your other videos when you have yet to convince me that this one is worth a damn. And considering just how strange your first believe reason is, I just doubt you're gonna.
And why the God I believe in is necessarily good by definition.
Because of course, you can just define things into being, like how I am handsome, famous and good at the sex. By definition, I must be that. Therefore I am that, and if anyone says otherwise, they are wrong, by definition. Next I'm going to define a swimming pool of whiskey as a thing that I have, and all the humans as launched into the sun. By definition. Or is it more? By definition.
They might also say something like, God is angry, God is selfish. The truth is, I don't believe in that God either. So it's really important how we define God, and that is the task of theology.
Okay, mate, it's all well and good saying you don't believe in a God of those things, but even if you have this specific God that's a big, huggy bunch of love, the fact that there are other types of God that other people believe in that I may or may not argue against as well, does not make yours true.
We often base our definitions of God on our relationships. So if I've met many selfish people and the epitome of selflessness is a very low standard in terms of the people I've interacted with, then unfortunately I might think that God himself is selfish, not selfless.
That has nothing to do with how probably fucking anyone is defining God or gods. For the most part, people define gods on shit that's written about them. What are you talking about? The God I don't believe in is one that other people already claim to believe in, not just some version that I'm making up in my head. Jesus Christ, are you like a professional stupid or just a really gifted amateur?
If many people I've met in the world are angry, or I've never met somebody who is calm enough or peaceful enough, then perhaps my image of God is skewed.
Utter gibberish. I mean, maybe some people do that, but I would be surprised to find many who define God based on people, you know, because God's not supposed to be fucking people, right?
So if our definition of God is limited to our experience of others and then reflected back onto the definition of God, we may have an issue, and we have to discuss who is the God you're rejecting, who is the God you're accepting.
All of them. It's in the definition of atheist. And you know, just because I explain one God I find implausible doesn't mean I'm not going to find yours just as silly.
The second reason I believe that God exists.
Wow, that was just number 1 and we were already a page deep into this script. Here's hoping you're going to throw in less irrelevant bullshit.
Is because of the existence of morality.
Oh, it's always morality. Okay, let me make it simple. Until you can prove morality as a fact, you don't get to say morality is objective. And the fact is, every morality I have ever heard described is subjective, even if it's based on certain objective facts. The morality itself is still based on an individual's feelings about those facts. There simply is no morality generating thing within the universe, at least that anyone has managed to find.
And this is a debate back and forth between atheists and theists. or deists.
Actually, I think you'll find morality is a debate between literally every single person on the planet, no matter what they believe. It's almost like morality itself is not objective, seeing as no one fucking agrees entirely on any of it.
I will pull the professor card here. So I am a professor of theology and I am also specialized in ethics.
I would recommend you don't fucking do that, because so far this has been an absolutely atrocious demonstration of your abilities as a professor of goddamn anything. I mean, where did you get your degree? If it was anywhere other than you found it whilst dumpster diving behind a 7-Eleven for used toilet paper, and you know, it was used toilet paper that somehow just happened to look like a degree, I will be very surprised.
And I have not found a single convincing argument that compels me to think that ethics and morality can exist, or that standards of morality can exist apart from their foundation and grounding in God.
For someone who seems to think that they have an education in anything, the fact that your second reason is literally just an argument from incredulity is frankly stunning. I think the United Education Board of dumpsters outside of 7-Elevens should really reconsider your bog roll diploma at this point.
Let me be a little bit more precise. You can be moral and you can be ethical without believing in God. You cannot defend those ethical claims. You cannot defend moral claims without belief in God.
Yes, you can. And it has been done time and time again by both me and people far smarter than me. The fact that you don't seem to have heard them, or if you have understood them, has no bearing on the existence of any deity. That's just, I'm unconvinced because me smart, therefore God. Damn.
So it is their defense. It is saying that one thing is better than another. It is a hierarchy of values that cannot be achieved without belief in God. And since I do believe there is a moral standard and there are moral maxims, I do believe in God.
Well, good for you. It's a shit reason, but it's yours, and you should be proud of it. Like children, or particularly disgusting farts. Everybody quite likes their own, but just because you do doesn't mean your baby isn't ugly or that something hasn't crawled up your ass and died. Twice.
Reasons number 3 and 4 collapse into one title, which is that atheism requires faith.
Ah! Oh my god, this fucking guy. Is he seriously doing the Frank Turek bit? And not only that, it's another shit reason to believe in God. Other people do this thing that I say that they do. Therefore, I'm a believer in a nonsensical sky fairy. What the fuck, mate? What is happening? I swear to fuck I'm being punked. If you turn out to be Ashton Kutcher, I'm gonna scream.
You've probably heard this before, but one area where atheism requires faith is that if I am an atheist, I must believe that all things that have been created were created from nothing, by nothing.
No, I don't. That's not true. And if you think it is, you are a fucking moron who has no concept of the beliefs of, well, any fucking atheist. That is the kind of shit that can only be concluded by having zero understanding of the topic that they're discussing. What did I tell you about embarrassing? I can't feel my legs.
I think it's much more probable that all things that we see are created by somebody, even if it's out of nothing. You cannot experimentally reproduce something being created out of nothing.
And yet you have managed it with this video. I mean, clearly you don't have anything between your ears and somehow managed to make some content. So congratulations, you played yourself. Not that you're smart enough to even notice.
And if you go, there are experiments in which they put things into vacuums, although vacuums are not nothing, to see if there would be any spontaneous combustion or existence of particles. You cannot reproduce something coming into existence out of nothing.
I feel that there's a little thing missing from an experiment that specific. It's the infinite time that could be part of how that would happen. Funnily enough, I don't think that there's been quite enough time for an experiment being there for 5 minutes to prove anything, really.
And in any case, you cannot reproduce the creation of the universe. So to say that it is scientifically invalid to be religious, or that if you are not religious, then you believe in science, is not quite accurate.
No one fucking said that. Where'd that even come from? Also, you missed the point where you also can't prove that God did the universe. So a bit of a stalemate there. How about I'll just not believe in random made-up guys that could have done a universe and just wait to see what we discover instead.
because there are gaps in the logic and gaps in the scientific evidence, and the creation of the universe is certainly one of those.
Oh, did he just do a god of the gaps? Is he like a theology professor of logical fallacies? I mean, I don't really like to bring them up all the time, but the guy just keeps on doing them.
The fourth point, which is a subpoint of atheism requiring faith, is that the universe has order, beauty, organization.
Beauty? Subjective as fuck, my dude. Come on. I want to say you're better than this, but it's clearly a lie. Just please try to be better than this.
And the second law of thermodynamics states that entropy tends to increase within a system. Entropy here is disorder, disorganization, chaos. So left to its own, it doesn't make any sense that the world would be created the way in which it was.
Oh look, a theist who doesn't understand how the second law of thermodynamics works. I've never heard that one before. You're talking about things that happen within closed systems. The world is not a closed system, you dumb fuck. It obtains energy from outside of itself. Also, just because the universe tends towards entropy does not mean that pockets of order can't happen. It just means that they are less likely. And if you look at space, what's the overwhelming amount of it consist of? Unordered space, full of random bits of fuck all, and then occasionally a planet or a star or whatever.
If anything, the creation of the universe should have led to further chaos, not further organization. It is clear that there is an order, that there is not increasing chaos.
There is literally increasing chaos all the time. You just can't see it because you're in a pocket of order. You're like a flat earther, because all you can see is the horizon, then Earth must be flat, without ever trying to learn what's beyond the things that your near useless eyes can see and completely useless brain can understand. Honestly, I can only hope that you're doing this kind of ignorance on purpose at this point, otherwise I'll worry about you, mate.
If I were to pick up a watch on the street, I wouldn't say it is incredible how this watch came together spontaneously and tended to come into this organization out of non-organization on its own.
Are you fucking me? There's no way anyone could claim to have a theology education of any kind and not know that this is debunked nonsense. Seriously, this is the watchmaker argument, but he didn't even try to hide it. That's the worst part. This isn't a joke or a parody, it's just normal for these guys. They all think that they have stumbled on these brilliant ideas because they haven't bothered to find out if maybe they might have been torn to shreds. And so they carry on in ignorant bliss, spouting nonsense.
I would say it's a really nice watch made by a watchmaker. Same argument applies to the universe, to the world. I am much more convinced that the order of the world was created by a person rather than completely by chance. The probability of the latter is very unstatistical.
Very unstatistical, eh? Man, dem can't even words. Improbable. God damn it. And we have seen people make watches. No one has seen anyone make a universe. Until you have seen that, this is a shit argument for morons.
And then my estimation would require a great deal of faith.
Yours? Yeah, like you're smart enough to come up with an argument even this stupid. Sure.
Point number 5. If I were not to believe in God, then I would necessarily have to believe that every single person who has ever had any religious notion from the existence of the universe until this point in time were absolutely wrong on all religious accounts.
So, if I believe something that a bunch of other people believe is wrong, then I'm going to think that I'm right and they're wrong. Because that's how not agreeing with people works. Astounding.
So the fact that there are many religions across human history, more likely than not, points to the existence of a God.
Oh look, another fallacy. What a surprise. Argumentum ad populum. Lots of people believe it. It must be true. Well, my dude, if lots of people are as ridiculous as you, I would not count their opinions for much, since they are unlikely to know much about anything, apparently.
Someone might respond and say, well, religion across history has just been a coping mechanism for the difficulties of the universe. And it doesn't seem like that's always the case. It doesn't explain all religious practices. It doesn't explain all religious experiences.
Well, I don't know why they would do that when it's a bad point on the face of it. But yeah, more importantly, the fact that all the religions seem to disagree with each other about almost every aspect makes that a less likely prospect than the other way round.
Humans by nature are never entirely satisfied. We're seeking for something that fulfills us that is outside of us. That thing, that person is God.
Or that's a byproduct of human evolution that causes humans to go further than their current area to find more stuff. But then we ran out of stuff to find when we started doing civilizations and that, so started focusing on the unknowable, at least at the time. So had to make shit up. But no, Space Magic Boy is way more likely, yeah.
Point number 6, I alluded to earlier. One thing I notice in the debate between those who are religious and those who are non-religious is that those who are non-religious will say that I believe in science. I believe only in what I see and what I experience.
I seriously doubt you have seen anyone say anything about anything, otherwise you wouldn't be saying so much stupid shit. But what do I know? Apart from more than you, obviously.
First of all, science and religion are entirely compatible. There's nothing that has been discovered in science that is contradictory, at least to the Christian faith.
You know, apart from the stuff at the start of the book, or the middle of the book, or the end of the book. But you know, if you take out all of the claims and specific historical shit and magical nonsense, then the correct Bible that says there were people back then, good job.
Second of all, nobody entirely believes only in what they sense, in what they see, in what there is evidence for. Easy example is love.
Love without evidence is stalking.
Everybody believes in love. You've experienced love. Love is beyond words. Love is beyond comprehension. Love is beyond the molecular level. You wouldn't say that my experience of love is simply the release of endorphins.
Hey, don't you be debunking yourself. Because yes, I could definitely say that. Bonding chemicals are just that. Chemicals that make you bond with people. It doesn't need to be magic, and it's still important even if it is a physical process. Amazing just how wrong one person can be about literally every single thing they say.
The result of my loving somebody might end in the release of endorphins. The release of endorphins is not what causes me to love somebody.
You know there's a reason that they don't put the cart before the horse, right? It's 'cause it's a fucking stupid thing to do.
There may be some level of attraction and level of chemistry, as they call it, something on the molecular level. It is common human experience that the experience of love between family, between friends, between spouses goes well beyond something that we can simply explain by the release of certain chemicals in the body.
Nope. And the fact that some people cannot feel those feelings because of the chemicals in their body categorically proves you wrong on that point. Damn it. And he was doing so well thus far. Lol.
So we don't just believe in what we experience with our 5 senses. There's an experience beyond that which we're able to articulate.
I mean, you might just be proving that in how wrong someone can be. It's like you are the embodiment of incorrect.
Point number 7, humans are distinct. We have a consciousness that is distinct about us. We're able to think abstractly. We are aware of our existence. We're able to take ourselves outside of our existence for a second and reflect on our existence.
That is an extremely human-centric assumption that only a person who has never spent any time studying animal behavior whatsoever could conclude unironically. Various animals have demonstrated various traits that you claim to be exclusive to humans, and that's without the ability to communicate them directly to us. The only reason to assume that it couldn't be the case is because you want to be oh so very special. Sorry bro, humans are just animals too. Get over it.
We have an inherent sense of the divine and the supernatural, which I mentioned previously in this video. And the most interesting distinction, and it may be attributed to our freedom, being created in the image and likeness of God within the Christian tradition, is that humans are able to act in contradiction to their own flourishing, against their own nature.
To think that no animal does that is so staggeringly wrong, it makes me wonder if you were just dropped here on Earth out of nowhere with these opinions. Animals do all sorts of shit that is against their flourishing and their nature. Have you ever heard of pets? Not only can they be trained out of instincts and behaviors, but also trained into doing things that go well against their survival, like overeating or various kind of service animal job. It's like you have never been outside of the room you are currently in and learned all of your knowledge from a big book of bad ideas. Oh.
This is not a trivial point. Dogs must be dogs. Lions must be lions. All the rest of creation, trees, must be trees. Humans do not necessarily have to be human. We do not have to do that which is good for our flourishing. We can act contrary to our nature to our own detriment.
That's just gibbering nonsense and is actually such a trivial point to refute that I'm still astounded that as a somewhat unique to you point that you couldn't do that yourself. Of course, I can only really assume that it is also someone else's terrible argument for idiots, but oh well.
This is an unfortunate reality, but it is also part and parcel of our God-given freedom.
Sure, buddy, like you have the freedom to be constantly wrong. And I have the freedom to point it out.
Lastly, point number 8.
Okay, here we go. Let's make it a good one. It would only be one good one. Please.
I believe in God because I have seen those who have experienced God, who have been transformed by God, and who carry God in themselves. There is no way to encounter a person who has been truly transformed by God and still have doubt as to his existence.
It's amazing to me just how many of these are other people, this thing. And yes, you can absolutely do that. You can say, well, your experience is likely based on Z psychological phenomenon. And then you used religion to explain it to yourself because you didn't like that explanation. And then religions demand people conform to them, which means that they'll change. Wow, that was so hard to refute.
That's all I have for today. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment with what you want to see on your next video. Thank you to all the support so far. I will see you guys at the next video.
And make sure you do all of that shit to me and my channel for actually, not wrong content. And since you asked so nicely, I would recommend that for your next video, you say something that isn't incredibly fucking stupid. Bye!
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos. And she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the...